Today's session will be very effective for the students, those who have problem on presenting the graphical part of physics, mainly for the equation of motion. So every graphical part, actually what is graph? Graph is the, the addition of the point, like the, locus, how a relation is maintaining. A straight line, a circle, a parabola. So there is in particular, the trajectory path, right? So that is presenting by graph. Similarly, in physics also, whenever we are drawing the displacement time graph, velocity time graph, acceleration time graph, here also we are adding the different point. Like whenever you are drawing a straight line, that means a specific relation is maintained between the velocity and time. A specific relation maintained between the acceleration and time. So those relation is building the graph. Okay. So you have to know the relation and also how they are presented in a graph. So first we will understand the basic of coordinate geometry, and that will definitely help you to understand the physics graph. Okay, so you don't have to take it mechanically. By conception you can able to practice those things after taking this class. Okay, so let me take you to the my session, like where I'll be showing you the the different part of my coordinate geometries. Just follow my screen. Okay, I hope you can see the screen properly, right? Okay, very good, fine. Now uh, in the screen, what you can see, right? So we are taking this as an positive x-axis. This is x-axis. This is negative x-axis. This is y-axis, and this is the negative y-axis. So let's say this is a point. So this point having a location in coordinate, so that's called xy, x coordinate and y coordinate. So to reach this point, I have to travel this distance in x, then I have to travel this distance in y, then I'll get xy. So for this region, we are seeing the first quadrant in geometry. That means both the value of x and y will be positive here. If you see this graph here, so this will be the second quadrant, right? So this will be the second quadrant. Let me show you in the screen. So this part will be the second quadrant. Okay. So here x will be positive, x will be negative, right? So here, give me 1 minute. So x will be negative here, and second quadrant y will be positive, right? Okay. So similarly, in the third quadrant, let me just point it out for you. Okay. So this is the second quadrant where the value of x is negative. Let's say this point, what is the coordinate of this point? So for this point, if this is, the unit is 3, so and y value will be 0, so coordinate of this point will be minus 3, 0. If I am taking x is equal to 3 here. Okay. Now, what will be the coordinate of this point? So let's take the y distance is, let's say 4 here. So this point will be minus 3, 4. Now, what about this point? So if this is equidistance, y value is same. So let's say this is also 4. So coordinate of this point will be x is equal to minus 3, y is equal to minus 4. For this point, let's say the distance from here to here is x is equal to 4. So what about this point? Any point on x-axis, the value of y will be 0. Value of y will be 0. Any point on x-axis. So what is the equation of x-axis? Y is equal to 0. Okay. And for y-axis, x will always be 0. So equation of an y-axis always x is equal to 0. Okay. So this point, for this point, the coordinate will be 4, 0. Now, if this height is 4, then this point coordinate will be 4, 4. And what about this point? So here x is 4 and y height also it took 4. So it will be, let's say, x is 4, right? So positive, y is minus 4. So in summary, first quadrant both x and y positive, both x and y positive. In second quadrant, x is negative and y will be positive in second quadrant. In third quadrant, both x will be negative and y will be negative. And this fourth quadrant, x will be positive and y will be negative. Okay. So keeping this in mind, uh, if we draw a graph, then definitely I hope you can interpret now. Now, if you see, this is a straight line, this one is a straight line, right? So this is a straight line. So if you see different points, so these are different coordinate points. That means this straight line presenting the data where both x and y varies, where both x and y varies. Okay. So for this point, let's say this is x3, y3. For this point, let's say this is x2, y2. If you see, both the value of x and y is varying, presented by this straight line, and this straight line having an inclination, let's say this is theta. Okay. So now this is about the pure mathematical part. Now we can go to the physics part now. Okay. So let me just show you. Let me just go back and let's focus on the physics graph now. Right. Like now let's focus on the ST graph. What is ST graph? ST graph means the displacement time graph, right? The displacement time graph. Okay. Now, okay, let me take a new slide for this one, right? Okay. Yeah. Let's take a positive axis. So this is a straight line, and okay, fine. Okay. Now, for this one, let's say the y-axis is presented by displacement. Okay. Now, and this x-axis, this is time. Let's say the graph is like a straight line graph. So, what does this graph will present? Tell me. So, this graph will be a object at rest. An object at rest, so the ST graph is a straight line, and this straight line is parallel to the t axis. This straight line is parallel to the t axis, right? So t is the time, okay? So here t is the time. So you can see that object is, what is happening here, that t is the x-axis, s is the y-axis, and this straight line presenting the object at rest, because the y values are not getting changed. The time is moving, time is changing, but with change in time, the displacement value is not getting changed. How we are getting understand? Because each point is a coordinate. For each point, you can see if it is a straight, it is a parallel line. If it is a parallel line to t-axis, parallel line, then the y values will be constant. Y values are not getting changed. Okay, so that's why. So why y values are not getting changed? Because this is a parallel line. So parallel lines mean the vertical distance are same. So this same value will be there. So y value is not getting changed means when t is equal to 0, there was a value of the displacement. That value is not getting changed in this graph. So this graph is presenting the rest, object at rest. Okay. Now one more graph I'll show you here. Okay. So let's say the graph is like straight line from here. Okay. Let me take the straight line. Hmm. like this. Clear? So this is a straight line, fine, and what it will present. So this straight line will